Only 1% of elite dark chosen ones complete these 5 vibrational tests. There exists a realm so subtle, so cloaked in energetic complexity, that only a fraction less than 1% of all seekers even sense its existence. You and I, we walk in a world layered with frequencies. Most people only hear the noise of life, but there is a deeper song playing beneath it all. And only the elite few, the dark chosen ones, can hear it well enough to follow it. Not because they were born special or chosen by some external force, but because they chose themselves, again and again, in silence, discomfort, and deathless surrender. The 5 vibrational tests are not labeled. They do not come with warning signs or neon arrows. They are hidden within the folds of your daily life, disguised as pain, confusion, temptation, and inner drought. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you sat with yourself in absolute stillness, with no music, no phone, no distraction, and just listened? Not to your thoughts, but to the silence behind them. That's where the first test begins. You see, the first vibrational threshold is the gate of noise. It is the realm of internal chaos, looping thoughts, identity constructions whispering to you every second. Most people never shut it off, not because they don't want to, but because they can't. Their nervous system is addicted to noise. The world has trained them to crave stimulation like a drug. But the dark chosen ones, they master the art of unbecoming.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
When I first attempted to cross this gate, I remember sitting for hours, even days, in a monastery high in the Himalayas. The silence there wasn't peaceful, it was violent. It stripped me bare. I had to face the echoes of every lie I had ever told myself. And I realized something that shattered me. I wasn't afraid of the world. I was afraid of meeting myself. You will be too. But you must do it, because only in that raw confrontation can you begin to detox from the frequency of illusion. But once you pass through the gate of noise, you begin to hear the texture of truth. And you'll recognize it by how much it humbles you. The second vibrational test is even more insidious. It is the test of desire. Not obvious lust or greed, but the spiritual desire to become. You want to be enlightened. You want to be powerful. You want to be awakened. And this wanting, it becomes a poison, because it is built on the illusion that you are not already whole. The elite few understand this paradox. They walk the razor's edge between discipline and surrender. They practice, they train, they sacrifice. But they do it without attachment to identity or outcome. Do you feel that now? That tug in your chest? That part of you that wants to become something? That's your ego trying to wear a spiritual mask. And this is where most seekers fall. They build altars to their own transformation. They mistake symbols for essence. And so, the universe sends them test 2, the collapse. It looks different for everyone. For me, it came as a betrayal by someone I trusted deeply. For you, it might be a financial collapse, a heartbreak, a moment where everything you built crumbles. The test is simple, but brutal. Can you still remain in your center when everything external is stripped away? Or were you only spiritual when things were going your way? The third vibrational test is called the mirror of shadows. This one you won't see coming. It creeps up when you think you've healed enough. When you've done the work, read the books, aligned your chakras, and you're feeling good. That's when the shadows come. They show up as projections, people triggering you, situations that seem unfair, enemies appearing out of nowhere. But here's the twist: nothing is outside you. Every enemy, every trigger, every villain in your story is a distorted reflection of an unintegrated part of you. I had a mentor once, a blind mystic, who told me, if your enemy angers you, it's because he holds a truth you refuse to hold. I didn't believe her at first, but she was right. And when I finally sat with the pain of that truth, I saw the faces of those I hated melt into faces I once loved. The elite few learn to use every trigger as a portal. Every discomfort becomes a mirror. Every enemy becomes a teacher. And this test never stops. You don't pass it once. You pass it daily. By now, you're probably feeling it. That strange ache in your gut. That urge to look away or argue. That's good. It means you're still in the game. The fourth vibrational test is silence in the storm. It's not just about being calm, it's about becoming the eye of the storm. When chaos erupts around you, when people betray you, when your plans disintegrate, when your health fails, you will be asked to remain unmoved. Not numb, but anchored. Let me tell you a secret. The universe doesn't care about your comfort, but it cares about your coherence. These storms are not meant to break you. They are meant to reveal what cannot be broken. Your peace is the most rebellious act in a world addicted to panic. The elite few learn to breathe underwater. They don't deny the storm, they dance with it. They may cry, they may fall, but they return again and again to their inner altar. And now we approach the fifth and final vibrational test. This one is the most sacred, the most terrifying, and the most liberating. The test of the void. It is when everything stops working, your practices feel empty, your prayers echo back without answers, your intuition goes silent, you feel abandoned by spirit, you feel like a fraud. This is the dark night. The elite few know it well. It is the ego's funeral, the soul's rebirth. But only if you don't run. Will you stay in the void, even if it feels like death? Will you keep walking, even when the path disappears? Will you trust when there is no reason left to trust? That is the test. And if you pass it, something ancient awakens within you. Not an idea, not a belief, but a knowing beyond words. And here's the final twist. These 5 vibrational tests are not linear. They loop, they spiral, they return at higher frequencies. But every time you think you've passed, life will ask you again, deeper, subtler, more refined. This is the game of mastery. This is the path of the 1%. The dark chosen ones are not elite because they are above others. They are elite because they are willing to go deeper than anyone else. So, I ask you now, how deep are you willing to go? The sacred collapse, why everything must break before you awaken. The path of awakening is not paved with light, love, and incense. That's the illusion sold to tourists of the soul. The real journey, the one walked by the 1% of elite dark chosen ones, is a descent, not into hell, but into truth. And truth, my friend, is brutal. It doesn't coddle. It doesn't comfort. It dismantles everything you thought you were until only essence remains. That's the sacred collapse. That's what most fear. but ironically, it is the only doorway to freedom. We are taught to build ourselves, our careers, our identities, our relationships, our reputations. And when we succeed, we're celebrated. But what if I told you that everything you've built was only scaffolding around your true self? What if the collapse you fear is the one thing that can finally set you free? The elite few, those who pass the vibrational tests, don't just survive collapse. They invite it. They know that the destruction of the false self is the beginning of the real self. I remember my own collapse vividly. There was a year where everything I touched turned to ash. Projects failed. Friendships turned into silence. My health crumbled. My spiritual practices felt hollow. And the worst part, I couldn't feel anything. It was like my soul had gone offline. I thought I had done something wrong, but in truth I had done something right. I had outgrown my old frequency, but I was still trying to live in it. And that tension, the space between who you were and who you're becoming, is where collapse happens. It's sacred, it's holy, it's terrifying. You will experience this. Not once, but many times, if you're truly walking the path. You'll lose people not because they're bad, but because they cannot breathe the frequency you're now vibrating at. You'll lose dreams not because you failed, but because they were too small for your new self. You'll lose your image not because you're broken, but because truth doesn't fit in costumes. And you must let it all go. Not with bitterness, but with reverence. Because the collapse is not punishment, it's initiation. So why does it feel so painful? Because the ego doesn't die quietly. It screams. It bargains. It tells you that you're nothing without your titles, your followers, your talent, your looks, your knowledge. And if you believe it, you'll run back to the familiar, to the illusion, to the cage. But if you stay, if you withstand the fire, you'll see something extraordinary. You are not the ashes. You are the phoenix. The sacred collapse always comes with a gift, but only at the end. You don't get the treasure before the trial. That's the rule. You must prove yourself not to the universe, but to yourself. You must prove that you're ready to carry the weight of your own essence. But that's why the collapse is so thorough. It leaves no stone unturned. It will test your faith not by asking you to believe, but by asking you to keep walking when belief is gone. It will test your love not by giving you someone to cherish, but by taking them away and asking if you still love yourself. Let me ask you something deep. Who are you when there's nothing left to fix, nothing left to prove, and nothing left to lose? That version of you, the one that remains after the collapse, is the one who can finally hear the truth. And here's the truth. You were always whole, but your identity was addicted to fragmentation. The collapse doesn't break you. It breaks what's not truly you, so that you can finally meet yourself not as a story, but as a presence. The elite few who walk this path understand this. They don't rush the collapse. They sit in it. They let it do its work. They let the pain sculpt them into vessels of clarity. And when they rise with eyes that see through illusion, hearts that hold paradox, and voices that speak only what is necessary. They become lightning wrapped in silence, fire wrapped in stillness. If you're in the collapse right now, let me speak directly to your soul. Don't run. Don't numb it. Don't try to fix it. Just be in it. Let it strip you. Let it break you open. Because on the other side of that collapse is a version of you that cannot be shaken. And that version, that's who you were always meant to be. There is no awakening without collapse, no rebirth without death, no ascension without descent. And the descent is not a detour, it is the way. So embrace it, bless it, let it dismantle you. Because when it's done, you will not just survive, you will transcend. The code of frequency, how to speak the language of the universe. Everything is frequency, everything. From the breath in your lungs to the thoughts in your mind, to the people who enter and exit your life like waves on the shore, nothing is random. Nothing is separate. The universe doesn't speak in words, it speaks in vibrations. And if you want to move among the 1% of elite dark chosen ones, you must learn to speak its language. Not with your tongue, but with your state of being. Because the universe doesn't hear what you say, it hears what you are. This is the great secret hidden in plain sight. You attract not what you want, but what you vibrate. Your life is not an accident, it's a mirror. Every circumstance, every delay, every synchronicity is a direct result of your internal frequency. You and most people. They live in frequencies they didn't choose. Frequencies of fear, lack, guilt, shame programmed into them since childhood, reinforced by society, and recycled through every choice they make unconsciously. But the elite few, they choose their frequency, consciously, repeatedly, relentlessly. But how do you do that? How do you raise your frequency in a world that thrives on lowering it? It starts with awareness. You must become obsessed with the signals you're broadcasting. Not just your words, but your thoughts, your emotions, your breath, your posture, your silence. You must become a living frequency tuner. Ask yourself, what am I vibrating right now? Not what you're pretending, not what you're hoping, but what are you actually emitting? Is it desperation? Is it trust? Is it victimhood? Or is it sovereignty? When I first started decoding the frequency language of reality, I realized I had been speaking chaos fluently. I was vibrating urgency. I was vibrating unworthiness. And guess what? Life responded like a perfect echo. It gave me situations that matched that vibration with surgical precision. But when I started shifting, when I began to embody the vibration of peace, even when everything was falling apart, life started bending. People showed up, doors opened, and not because I manifested them with a vision board, but because I became a frequency match for a different level of reality. See, each timeline is not chosen by chance. It's selected by frequency. There is a version of you who is already free, already abundant, already whole. That version of you exists on a different frequency. And to meet them, you must become them. You don't wait for life to change. You change your frequency, and life has to follow. It's physics. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. But here's the challenge. Most people try to fake their frequency. But they try to trick the universe. They say affirmations they don't believe. They meditate but stay anxious. They smile but vibrate fear. The universe cannot be fooled. It only responds to truth. So if you want to shift your frequency, you must go deeper than performance. You must transform your essence. Start with your breath. Your breath is the conductor of your inner orchestra. Most people breathe shallow, erratic because their nervous system is locked in survival. But when you breathe deeply, slowly, intentionally, you send a signal to the universe, I am safe. I trust. I am ready. That alone begins to change the field around you. Then move to your thoughts. Catch every loop of doubt, every sentence of fear, and interrupt it not with fake positivity, but with presence. Ask yourself, is this thought vibrating in alignment with the reality I want to live in? If not, delete it, reprogram it. And then there's the final level, embodiment. You must live what you say you believe. You must walk as if your future is already real, even when the evidence isn't here yet. That is the highest frequency, faith expressed as behavior. You don't wait to feel abundant, you act abundantly. You don't wait to feel healed, you make choices that reflect healing. You don't wait for signs, you become the sign. And this isn't easy. It's not always glamorous. Sometimes it means walking alone. Sometimes it means letting go of people who drag your vibration down. Sometimes it means turning off the world and listening to the quiet hum of your own soul until it rises loud enough to guide you again. But when you do it, when you speak the universe's language fluently, you become a magnet for miracles. Not because you're lucky, but because you finally tuned yourself to the reality that was waiting for you all along. The final initiation, entering the temple of no return. There comes a moment on the path when you realize there's no going back. You've seen too much, felt too much, lost too much, gained too much. You have crossed a threshold where returning to your old self would be a betrayal so deep it would echo in your soul for lifetimes. This is the final initiation, the temple of no return. A space not built of stone and wood, but of choice and consequence. And when you enter, you do so alone, naked of pretense, stripped of identity, ready to meet the truth with no mask, no filter, no escape. This initiation is not an event, it is a becoming. A shedding of every layer you once called you. Your story, your trauma, your success, your failures, they all dissolve like mist in the fire of presence. Because in the temple, there is only now. And now is a blade. It cuts through illusion. It exposes everything you still cling to. It doesn't ask you to be perfect, it asks you to be pure, not in morality, but in presence, in truth, in vibration. The elite few who reach this place don't arrive by accident. They arrive because they died 1,000 tiny deaths along the way. They surrendered their need to be understood. They let go of the safety of the known. They gave up comfort for clarity. They chose honesty over harmony. And now, standing before the sacred flame, they must choose again, will I step through and never return? Because on the other side of this initiation, you can no longer play small. You can no longer pretend you don't know who you are. You can no longer deny the power surging through your being. And that's terrifying, not because it's dark, but because it's real. You will be tempted to turn back. You'll hear the voices of old friends, old habits, old identities calling you home. But you'll realize they're not home anymore. They're echoes of a self you've outgrown. You can visit, but you cannot live there. Because the temple demands your full presence. It doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about your goals. It asks only this: will you live in alignment with your soul, no matter the cost? This is the moment where the final vibrational test reveals its face, not as suffering, not as chaos, but as stillness. The silence is so complete, it almost breaks you. There is no more guidance, no more signs, no more hand-holding. because now you are the oracle. You are the map. You are the voice you've been waiting for. And if you listen closely, beneath the fear, beneath the doubt, you'll hear the sacred whisper rise from within. You were always it. The dark chosen ones are not those who conquered the world. They are those who conquered themselves, who faced the darkest parts of their being and chose to love them anyway, who walked through betrayal, collapse and void and emerged not bitter, but luminous. They don't need to be followed. They don't seek approval. They simply are. And their frequency speaks louder than any words ever could. So now I ask you, not as a teacher, not as a guru, not even as Miss Beast, but as a fellow soul on the path, will you enter the temple? Will you let go of who you think you should be to become who you truly are? Will you trade comfort for clarity, chaos for coherence, noise for knowing? This is your moment. Not next week. Not next year. Now. Because once you step through, you don't return. But you do arrive fully, finally, completely. And the universe. It responds instantly. It rearranges everything to match your new frequency. From the people, the opportunities, the miracles, they don't just come. They recognize you. Because you have become the vibration of your highest truth. Welcome. You've made it, not to the end, but to the beginning. The real journey starts now,